We're getting an echo here somewhere.
Yeah, a little bit of an echo. I heard that.
But anyway, I'm Tom Robinson, a grateful recovering addict. And like I always say, we're not affiliated with any 12-step program, although we do love them, we do endorse them, and we have benefited from them.
Yes, my name is Chris Mandeville. We are here at a New Way Recovery Center. Oh, I'm a recovered heroin addict.
I'm the one who usually forgets.
Yeah. We're here at a New Way Recovery Center in Quincy, Mass, on Quincy Ave. Lots of resources here, and they're very gracious to let us use the space to provide this podcast to you.
Great people, thank you very much. Managed by a turnabout alum.
Yes.
Who's that?
His name's Warren.
A lot of resources and different meetings here. Definitely, worth the time to stop in if you are in the South Shore area and you're in recovery.
Great place, great people, great resources.
So tonight we have actually our first guest that we released, who is actually
on the audio,
actually all three of our counselors at the treatment center that we all went to.
So welcome to our group counseling session.
Yes. I know. Where's my pillow? I need my pillow on the couch. And we have Rich, who was also a guest on before. So we don't even know how tonight's going to go.
We're going to talk treatment.
We're going to address
Dan's
a lot of things.
Anniversary.
Yes. Congratulations. Dan celebrates 29 years of sobriety
Woo!
today.
That's huge.
Thank you.
But like I said earlier, he still can't fucking drink.
Nope.
Time does not denote wellness. I know that.
I'd have that white chip in the bottom of the beer for 29 years. The thing still isn't dissolved yet. And I know.
Yeah, right. So, and also, if any of you guys have any questions on anything that you hear and you would like answers to them, please chime in. I'll be monitoring the feed as we go.
Try to. And I can't read the comments, but they're too far away. But I'm with you in spirit.
Yeah, if I'm gonna respond to something, I'll read it aloud.
There you go.
Sounds good.
How are we gonna start this?
I don't know. Let's.
So we all went through what was called a therapeutic community, which you can no longer have, pretty much.
That's not technically true. You could.
Yes.
It's just very difficult to achieve.
Yes, due to insurance stipulations,
state regulations.
Yes, state regulations.
Requirements.
The pussification of the United States.
So state regulations. What do you mean by that? Only if you're going to accept state money, right?
If you're dealing with Department of Public Health or BSAS, they do require that you have beds available to clients that are on MAT. For those of you that don't know what MAT is, Medicaid Assisted Treatment, which is Suboxone, methadone, or Vivitrol. So that's part of the requirements. They've really taken the teeth out of what a therapeutic community was, as a therapeutic community is run by the community, and sometimes, as I remember, you guys are a little tough.
Tough on each other.
Tough on each
that's
other.
What we need. What do you think, so? You think we needed that?
Absolutely, 100%.
And that's the thing. Like we called each other on our shit, and I want people in my life to do that to me still. And it wasn't that we didn't like you, or you were wrong. It was your behaviors, and that's what the whole entire thing was geared towards, was being aware,
changing your behaviors,
and changing your behaviors. That getting rid of that dope fiend mentality. Just like growing up, really.
And being able to become a productive member of society, getting ready to go back out into the world. And
being accountable for your actions, and know that. And I learned it quite a bit in Turnabout, that all my actions have consequences.
Absolutely.
And Dan gave me plenty of them.
Yes, I did.
My LEs,
LEs,
learning experiences.
Growing experiences.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't grow if you're always just in a comfort zone, and you certainly can't grow if you're so comfortable you're nodding out on the couch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There is a place for all of that stuff.
Sure.
The Viking helmets, the dresses.
Signs.
The signs.
I speaking of
the
announcements,
dresses,
I remember that, and I share this with a lot of clients. And Tom, the night we had a
Yes, you do,
Face
Howie.
to
Thank
the
you.
Future And this is when you had
Oh,
returned to us,
man.
and I'm going to put you out there for this one.
Thanks,
The clients dressed Tom up as Marilyn Monroe, okay? And they put him in a tight dress.
I can't hear anything, Tom.
And
Oh,
they
okay.
made him sing
There we
Happy Birthday, Mr. President, to a graduating member. The entire room was dead silent. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. He managed to do it, and he was scared to death doing it, but he did it. And
It
then
was
he
funny.
walked back to his seat. He sat down, and the button popped off right where we put the fake breasts and landed on the floor, and the entire room bursted up
that was pretty
in
funny.
hysterics. And you know what? That was a turning point for you where you let people in your life again. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of turning points like that.
Yeah, I mean, you could just completely see people change.
Yeah.
You know, like some people would come in with like that wicked bullshit machismo, like I'm a tough guy, and then inside of a couple weeks they start getting to, you know, talk about things that haven't talked about, and you see them like actually break down and
Yeah.
you know, they're like
Drop
getting
defenses.
Yeah, but they're getting upset about it. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I just did 18 years. That doesn't matter. You're still fucking human, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Feel
you
those
don't
feelings.
you don't need to be like that here.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and a lot of people had trouble with that, letting go of the. Oh, I ain't ratting on nobody. No, you're not. It's not ratting on people, man. It's making people aware. You could save someone's life, and like, it was presented to me in that way. It's like, all right, someone comes back to the house and they're getting high. Like, potentially they could take out 27 other
They
people.
could
Yeah.
take the whole house out.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
know, and I
Absolutely.
seen it. I seen whole entire room. I was in the kitchen inside of I think 3 or 4 days that I was there because the whole kitchen crew
Oh,
was
yeah.
smoking crack out in the gazebo.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
kitchen crew until I don't know.
Till you were working still.
Yeah,
Till you were working.
exactly. Till I was working. I was dropping kitchen crew chief, going on job search. You know, but you know, here I am. You know, still 17 years later. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's the big thing about the TCs is they, take the dresses and all the other LE stuff out of it. It was very strict, very structured, very, you dealt with a lot of stuff. You dealt with the underlying issues that, like it says in the big book, alcohol is but a symptom. You got to
Right,
get down to
right.
causes and conditions, right? So that's what he dealt with. All the LE stuff and all that was all part of it, but you also did the one-on-one counsel and the group counsel, and you dealt with. I remember, every month we'd get an issue. You get your issue that you had to work on, and
Yeah, learning.
dude,
learning
without that, I mean, that
personal issue.
personal issue, you
Yeah.
really have to take a look at the person that you are and the person that you brought in and change.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it makes you
Yeah.
you worked your ass off to change the person that you brought in.
Right. And
You
if
know?
you weren't, and everyone else that was around you could see it a lot more than you could.
Yeah.
Or you could be bullshitting yourself into saying that you've done it and you hadn't. And we were going to let you know.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
And like anything went in group counseling. You know,
yeah.
it did
Oh, yeah.
not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You were not going to get in trouble for what was said in there. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
where you brought each other your issues
Yeah.
and like the structure, like chain of command. Like, all
Yeah.
right, you got a problem with somebody, you gotta go to your big brother, and they gotta go to their big brother. Your big brothers come together. If they can't hash it out, next step up.
Knife fight.
Yeah,
Knife fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
bum fights out in the backyard. But it was. I thought it was what I needed.
Oh,
I know
absolutely.
that.
I believe 100% that I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I had not gone through that house.
Yeah.
It gave me everything that I needed. Outside of Turnabout and TCs, you have the 12-step programs of AA, and those are, I think they're similar in the way that you get down, you get down inside deep, you take a look and you fix what's wrong.
Right. Right.
So it gives you that foundation, So coming out of Turnabout, we had a solid foundation.
Yes.
You know, right off the rip.
Yes.
You know, so you had a leg up on a lot of people that
Yeah.
were just coming into the program. You know, in what was it, 6 to 9? I was there for 7.5 months. You
Yeah,
know,
I was
and
there eight and a half.
The first 4 months, you're in the house, and all you're doing is working on yourself.
Yep.
You know what I mean? For 4 months straight, you're just working on yourself.
Yeah, and it was. I thought it was awesome.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
at times it sucked.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely sucked at times.
Like,
you
what
know?
the fuck, you know? And I went there on a parole, and my parole was going to be up in April, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's bouncing," and I was like, "Hell no!" Like I finished, and then I stayed, you know, on reentry, and I remember I came back to the house because I had a 48-hour pass, and it was Monday morning, and I went to Dan. I said, "Hey, I want my out date," and he was like, "What's going on in the house?" Well, that weekend, a whole entire room had relapsed. And I was like, listen, you guys got to get honest. You know, and some people were like, come on, man, just let it slide. I was like, I don't got to be here.
Yeah.
I'm finished with this. You know, so if you guys want to okay that, I'm not, you know, so handle it.
And it really is a shame that the government has done what they've done to programs like that. You know,
You can fight it. You
Yeah.
can fight it. You know, that's the important thing to understand is you don't have to be a state-funded program.
Right.
You can open up private
Right.
programs. You can do all sorts of things to be able to keep that type of treatment going for that specific population. It's one thing, when we talk about that, one thing I did is I did the intakes. I did most all of the interviews for a good solid 7 years there.
Yeah.
Of who did and who didn't come into the house. So most of the time I got it right, unless I was doing a favor for somebody. And then I usually got it way wrong. But there is a certain type of mentality and a certain type of person that will benefit from a therapeutic community. And just with you three guys here and all the other guys I know, there's at least 10 of you guys that are still clean and sober. And that's huge.
Yeah, that's
the numbers, that's way out of that 1 in 36 BS.
Right.
It's pretty damn good.
I remember at one point we were in the main room there, and we were all sitting on the couches, and you came in the room and you said, "Look to your left and look to your right. 1 out of 3, you aren't gonna make it."
I remember that conversation too, and I remember saying to myself, I'm fucking making it.
I'm making it. Yep.
I remember that clear as day, sitting in the lounge.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, that was like a goal I set for myself. I'm gonna be one of those guys.
Wow, there's 3 of you here.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
No, when I was with Chris, I didn't make it till the next time. That's one of the things that the statistics don't take into consideration, and that's one of the things that that was good about Turnabout as well, because you came and you stayed in touch with the house for a year after you completed.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, I mean, how many programs out there want you to stay in touch and involved in the house?
Oh, the only way they want you to stay in touch is when you need a bed again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or they want to follow up because they're into numbers. Oh,
Yeah.
we're going to see 30 days out, 60 days out, 90 days
Yeah.
out. And they'll stay in touch, and they might call you, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" You know, or put a phone call. And again, that's all.
And that's for paperwork,
Yep.
so that they can say, oh, our program is doing.
right.
you know.
On paper, it looks good, but when you look out on the streets, people are dying left and right.
Yeah.
But
You
even
know?
I remember even when we were there, man, like there was some shit going on. It's like, all right, you 5 got to pack your stuff, and you need to go to Westboro because they have empty beds.
Oh, that was.
You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, that was a.
And there was guys
bad time period.
And there was guys that like, all right, you're in an all-male facility, and then you get sent up to a co-ed. What?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Does anybody besides me know why that happened?
No.
Okay, I will.
I think
tell
it
you,
was for money-wise, funding.
It was money-wise. What was going on at that point in time is we were told by the executive director of that facility in that part of the state that we were to send people up there because they needed to bill out their contract. So what happened is, as I was going through that, we were told that we would no longer be around if that didn't happen as well.
Yeah.
So we made sure that it happened. I did intakes. I grabbed 5 or 6 people from the house, and then I pulled in about 10 other people off the streets, and we shipped them off. And we took care of that and everything like that. If you really look at it, what it was double billing. That's what was going on. and
Yeah.
they got away with it. Just
Yep.
like they got away with getting that facility that was in Hingham. It was supposed to be forever a treatment facility, and
Right.
they found a loophole and zoomed in. So unfortunately, when you look at some of the treatment that's going on out there, it's cutthroat. It's business, and a lot of the times we were told our business is selling hope. That's what we do. And
That's
this
like
is not-
methadone clinics, Suboxone. I mean,
Yeah.
at no point do I believe that anybody should be on any of that stuff for more than
Right. There's protocols for that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not. None of it is meant to be
it's
on
all
for life.
It's all like, especially like methadone. Methadone's been a moneymaker. They
Yeah.
start you on like 35 milligrams. Next thing you know, you're at 130. It's like, how did you go up? You're supposed to go down.
We've
and
seen
now you're
firsthand,
hooked.
firsthand the money that.
And now you're hooked
Yeah.
because it's all
Yeah.
money.
The
And
money's
it's
huge.
madness.
Yep.
It's madness. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you people are supposed to be helping people.
And that's
all
the
you
thing. Like
care about is money.
this stuff starts out. You know, all right. You're gonna take this medication and you're gonna taper down and you're gonna
That's
eventually
right.
be abstinent,
That's
Right,
which
right.
is the which is the goal
When you
for.
taper
Yeah.
them down, problem being is you are being cruel. All of a sudden, the upper echelons come down. Oh, you can't do that to people. They've got to be able to have this, and they keep pushing it on
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and pushing it on you. The turnover rate is brutal. We do a little MAT at the facility I work, Vivitrol and Suboxone, and the goal there is harm reduction.
Yeah.
And because
And-
it is a
and-
dual program, so
And you know I can see the
Yeah.
people have to be alive. People have to be breathing to recover. So
Yeah.
if that's gonna keep someone alive, awesome.
whatever
But
means
Who's-
necessary for that.
Who makes that judgment call? The person who's not in their right mind,
yeah.
or who?
And
Who-
like at least
what's the
the
criteria.
at least the methadone, like you go to the van, you get your dose, you go home. Like Suboxone, it's like, oh here's a fucking big bottle of
Yeah.
Pills that you
twice
can
as much
sell.
medication that you really need.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Hey,
do
go
what
home
it-
and have it. Yeah.
What's the criteria to tell someone? I mean, let's say in a perfect world, it supposedly really is going to be to wean you down off of it. You're in panic crisis mode. You need to be weaned down off of the drugs by using other chemical methods, which are going to slowly decrease over time, which is the only way it should be done, in my opinion. So what's the criteria to say, all right, this person here probably will just need long-term treatment. Abstinence will detox him all drugs and will keep, and he'll be able to succeed, or she will be able to succeed. Whereas this person here is so bad that they're going to need to be weaned off through chemical means.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference in personality that's going to tell us who's going to be able to do this or that?
There's a difference with what they want to do. That's what the problem is you have to be able to save people's lives. That's the important thing. Most of you guys have seen the lines at the methadone clinics and everything.
Yeah.
Methadone is a successful MAT, and we don't see those people because they get take-homes, and they're down to like 2 milligrams. Those are the people that are your business people, other people that have stayed on it for life. And it's not what it was designed for. However, that's what's happened. Same with Suboxone. Suboxone supposed to be between 6 and 18 months, a gradual hit, and then you slowly taper down. Problem with Suboxone is the half-life.
yeah,
Because
I don't think they tell the people
they
that are
don't tell
getting
them
on it, like,
spot- they're
listen.
here you go. You don't have to use dope anymore. You're not going to overdose. You're not going to die. You're on Suboxone. Yeah, you can overdose and die. Okay, so
I
yeah,
took-
trying to cut through it.
A while before I went to Turnabout, I went to detox up at Cab Danvers. Got out of there, came home. Is when Suboxone first came out. They came in like a octagon shaped pill.
Yeah, I remember.
Somebody
that.
gave me
Sublingual.
one and said, "Here,
You
try
put it
this."
under your tongue.
I put the whole thing under my tongue.
Yeah.
I got wrecked.
Yeah, I was in Faulkner.
Absolutely wrecked.
Wrecked.
And I was like, "What is this? This is supposed to stop you from getting high? I'm higher now than I think I've ever been.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
yeah. I don't know. I've never had one.
Oh, it
What
was
does it-
nuts.
What,
That's
does it,
good.
what
Yeah.
does it speak to that? Okay, well, you can live a quote unquote normal life, but as long as you keep, injecting or ingesting this
The goal should
controlled
always
substance.
Yeah, the goal should always be nothing. Like
Yeah.
the
Well,
goal should always 100% be nothing. You should be you should have to take nothing like we do.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
obviously there's a feeling of restless, irritable, and discontent that is underlying. That people feel that they need some sort of security blanket in these drugs.
That's
And
rough.
Tom, you were asking, who determines that factor, and Kristen says, my drug dealer was a doctor. I told him what I wanted, and he gave it to
And
me.
that's what that's
Yeah.
what you get. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
it.
true. Like
Yeah.
they're finally like cracking down, and monitoring and paying attention to what's going out. There's doctors that were doing that are finally getting busted.
Mm.
You walk in, you pay $250 for your visit. You don't even have to have insurance. You know what I mean? You get your scripts. You go down. And if you're lucky to have Mass Health, you pay $3.62, and you walk out and you make friggin' $500-600 and get high.
Yep, and that's what they were
Yeah.
doing. But when you look at she hit a great point, the doctors being the drug dealers.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that are on the clinics, what they've been doing is they've been hitting them with a cocktail mix, where they're getting hit with either Suboxone, Methadone, Clonidine, Neurontin, Adderall, and a benzo.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Either Zen, they're not
Oh,
clean.
I
They're-
remember a certain doctor that we all know, and I went to him before I went to Turnabout.
So
Let
did
me
I.
tell you something. I left there with a shopping bag,
Yes.
an absolute paper. Yeah, I'll take the paper bag full of pill bottles with 3 pills in them each. I
Yeah.
mean,
And then 3 days
prescriptions-
later, you went back.
I mean,
Yes.
like 3
Yes.
days later, you go back 20 prescriptions.
The home
Yeah.
detox
The home
kit
detox kit
is what
Oh,
exactly what it was
boy.
called.
However, I'm going to defend the guy. Okay, I have to, because what that doctor did. Yeah, granted, he had that bad part, but it was easy because when I was there and I had somebody come right out of jail, they had no psych meds or anything.
Okay.
All I had to do was pick up the phone. Hey, I
Right.
need this,
Yeah.
and it was taken care of. So
Right.
even though the gentleman did what he did, his heart was in the right place.
Yes, and
Okay.
a lot of people
It's
I
very
ain't,
possible.
I ain't gonna
Right.
sugarcoat shit because I don't like to do that. It's happening in the sober living community as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone who had taken advantage of a lot of people finally had gotten served some time. He got 2 years for 15 charges of
That's all you got?
yeah,
Oh.
and some probation.
But that's all.
And a lot of people
That's a
get
lot.
into
It's a
it
big deal.
for the right reason and to help people, but we're alcoholics, we're addicts. Like that money starts rolling in,
Yep.
and we're not taking care of ourselves and doing what we need to do. The
He gets
lines
it.
get
Well,
blurred.
That's why you need checks and balances. You need a
Yeah.
group of people.
You need a
who
board.
Get into it. A board. That's right. A board and a group of people who get into it together and work together.
Yeah.
Problem with that is when you get a bunch of those of us that are in recovery all together in the same room without somebody that's not in recovery,
Yeah, you
we
need
have
that
little
too.
issues.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
To look at the other thing, I was just from hearing that as what's going on within the sober living communities and everything. Too much of it is it's money related,
Yeah.
and I can tell you that happens because I'm not. I mean, I do mental health work and addiction work now. The mental health aspect is phenomenal. It makes me a better therapist as I am for addiction now. Now I understand the components, but the money, boom, all of a sudden the licenses, then they start feeding you this and this. The drug reps come.
Oh yeah.
The lunches we get from those drug reps are incredible.
Oh, I
Wonderful
bet.
lunches, all those things. And that's not what recovery is supposed to be. And you guys are mentioning a few things where why are they doing all the medicated assisted treatment? Why this? Saving people's lives is one thing, but what I've noticed is that they've gotten away from the principles of recovery that work. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
when you look at 12-step recovery, that is the original. It works. It
Yeah.
is difficult for a lot of people to follow a spiritual pathway, but
Right.
what they've tentatively done, if you really look at it, is they've taken God out of treatment, and you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done
Yep.
because they're like, oh no, we'll make the government your God, and that's bullshit.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people
That's
need
right.
to wake up and smell the coffee that are out there of like, you know what?
Yeah.
You have different programs. You have abstinence programs. You have TCs. You have all of these separate programs for whatever one's going to fit. Because I've noticed over the years, and from what I've been doing for work, is there isn't a rent. It doesn't work specifically for each person.
Right.
There's
Right.
some-
There's not like one
No.
equation that works for everybody.
But
No,
we've
no
all
cookie
had-
cutter approach.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's things in common. We've all come up with ineffective coping mechanisms for life,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And then we have to get them out of our hands. There's claw marks on them. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
And
it's not easy to deal with us.
Right, and like I
No, it's not.
like I said in the description to this podcast, now you're dealing with people with trauma.
Yeah.
And
Trauma?
from us doing this and speaking with other people, like we've realized that that's where all of this starts.
It's
Yeah.
And
It's
it doesn't
huge.
it doesn't need to be anything astronomical or something that people can't talk. It could be as simple as like someone in your family not showing up when they're supposed to.
Yeah.
You
it
know,
could be small trauma to the outside onlooker, but
Yes.
big trauma
Big
to
trauma to you,
Yes.
exactly.
especially as a child.
Right. And there are those that suffered tremendous like
Unbelievable trauma.
unbelievable things that
We've had them on the show.
and it's like how do you still like stand human beings?
Yeah, how have you not
after
killed
dealing with
yourself
you've
and
dealt-
bunch other
yeah.
people with you? That's
You know?
why these things happen.
But
'Cause they learned their coping mechanisms and how to get through
yes,
trauma.
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
You know, trauma's brutal stuff, and when you look at specifically with opiate addiction, opiates are to numb.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
stuff there that's
yeah.
it can, and again, it can be subtle, it can be brutal. I work with a lot of females, and unfortunately, with the girls, because of the opiate epidemic, what are they doing for it? They're out there on the streets, and
it
it sucks for them.
it's taken advantage of it. Like
Oh, yeah.
people know that they can do that to do what they need to do,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
and they don't even have to go out there and do that.
And-
They can be at home and just like running around with the people that they're not supposed to run around with, and not even be on the street.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But
what happens-
still in the same realm of what we're talking about here.
What happens too, which is really sad, is this is the co-ed treatment. Co-ed treatment doesn't work, okay? Because when you
Wow,
take
that's a
you take
statement.
the opiates away, okay, the libido kicks in.
Yep.
Oh,
And what's
yeah,
the
and-
first thing you're gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
be making babies everywhere.
Yeah, the detox
You know,
romances. you know
Detox
what I mean?
romances.
It's
Oh, yeah.
it's another. You're looking for a dopamine dump.
Yeah.
There's only one thing greater than the dopamine dump of sex is that's probably the dopamine dump of drugs,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so when you don't have drugs, you want the next best
Next
thing.
best thing, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to pay attention to that as well.
Yep.
And nobody's calling these guys out on this stuff. It's like, oh well, we'll just fall in line and do it, and there aren't enough of us left that'll say no.
I don't
This
care.
doesn't work.
I don't care if you got bars up, you got totally separate buildings. Motherfuckers are gonna find
They'll
a
find a
way.
way.
They
They'll dig a
will.
Absolutely.
tunnel.
They'll find
You're
a
gonna dig
way.
a tunnel over
Well,
there.
if you remember the tunnels in Westboro,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
those have
Oh.
been sealed, but those tunnels were used.
Yeah.
Dudes over. I'm not gonna even say the name of the place, but tying sheets together. You know what I mean? Going out the
Going
window
out
and
the
then
window,
poop,
yeah.
going
Oh,
up.
believe me, Gosnold has these slide-by
yeah.
windows with these bushes right next to them. So if you just jump right,
Yeah, yeah.
let's
Yeah.
move on.
No, you find a way. Absolutely. And that's
we did
another.
have the time when the stripper came back for her earrings at Turnabout. I do remember that.
And that was
Oh,
one.
really?
That was one good thing about Turnabout too, it being an all-male facility. You didn't
Yeah.
have that distraction.
Exactly.
Other
Exa-
than
going to meetings.
You had a nurse that was
other than
female
sneaking
that
a
came
stripper in
Friday,
every
that
once
was
in a
it.
while.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The attic.
but you didn't have that constant. You didn't have that constant.
Well, here's the thing. When you're in front of someone you're trying to impress, you're thinking about what they're thinking about you instead of you looking at yourself.
Yeah.
It's
It's
right.
too much of a distraction, especially when you're trying to fix yourself and you're trying to make yourself better. You can't have that distraction.
Even
So-
if it's in your own mind. Because when
Oh,
I was in the
absolutely.
house with Chris, I was all about the weight room.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in there every night.
Yeah,
for
and so was
hour,
I until I
hour and
went
a
to
half, 2
friggin' that.
hours.
I went to the appointment with friggin' Freedom, and then and Happy cleared breakfast, and
Yeah,
you know,
but you
my 366 day sober. There she was.
I remember you were in there with us at first, and then you hurt your arm. Remember that?
yes,
You hurt your arm.
yes,
And then I was
with
I was-
George
with
Hood.
George Hood, yeah. And when I come back to the house when Sully was in, I started again. I
Yeah.
was in the weight room. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get back in there. I'm gonna look good again.
But exercising is great for helping.
it
you.
is good.
It is.
It is
It
good.
is.
But
not
for a
not when you're
distraction.
not
But when you're
focusing,
untreated,
Yeah, not when
you
you're all you're
obsess.
focusing on is
And-
the outside stuff.
You
And I have to
obsess.
shout out to Michael Sweeney, my brother. He said he's in the weight room all the time. Get him out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
because
know what?
you're trying to fix feelings. You're trying to
fix-
dress up
yeah,
the trash
trying
can.
to dress up the outside, exactly.
Dress
not
up the
fixing
trash can.
inside.
Yeah, when you guys used to get ready for meetings because we kept your cologne. Do you remember that?
Oh,
that
Oh,
guy-
not me. I'm not.
Oh
I'm not
my
a cologne
God!
guy.
You guys took forever, and it smelled like a French whorehouse. It really did. It was so bad. You're spraying this and making
Yeah.
sure
And
you're
I-
looking good to go see the woman. You
Yep.
know?
Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
And I remember like,
Everybody's sneakers match their shirt. you
yep.
know.
I didn't know. I know. Yo,
The
hey, this
ironing-
yo,
ironing
do
the
I look all right in
underwear.
this?
Yeah.
Yo,
Ironing.
let me borrow those. Let me borrow those kicks.
Let me look.
You know, everybody trading clothes. You
You
got
done with
different
that iron?
outfits. Yeah. But I also remember, like, being
me a
so
break.
serious about this that it was like, hey, I'm gonna sign up for the meeting with you. Yeah, that's fine, but you're going to the fucking meeting because I'm
Right.
not getting hemmed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to the meeting. I'll be sitting inside the entire time. So if that's what you want to do, you can sign up with me. Otherwise, find somebody else.
Last month you hadn't changed your clothes in 3 weeks and you were shooting heroin behind a dumpster. But this month your underwear's got to match your sneakers, which you got to match your hat.
Yeah. Because she's the love of your life. That's
Right.
why.
Yo, she looked at me. You see that?
It's amazing how quickly that changes, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know.
Reality comes around. Thank
Yeah.
God.
So
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I was shooting puddle water. Now I'm worried about,
Yeah.
if my
Brand
sneakers
new
are clean.
sneakers.
so now you
Toothbrush and the toothpaste to the sneakers.
you deal more with the mental health aspect of this, or
I
still
do.
with
I
both?
still do addictions work, and I absolutely love that part of it. But I do a lot more mental health. I do a lot of bipolar, anxiety.
More than you used to, or more than the addictions.
Much. Well, I make sure the addictions I still do because I do volunteer work in the city. I do a lot of pro bono stuff, so I stay on point. Plus, I am heavily involved with going and taking care of recovery needs.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I work with the DYS population. I work with the court populations, and that's when I get to do addiction work. I love it. The mental health work is an incredible thing to find out. It's everywhere. The anxiety, the depression. A lot
Yeah.
of people are self-medicating over that.
Yeah.
Then the voices. I've got some poor kids over the years in their 20s where schizophrenia is just starting to set in on them.
Yeah.
And they're having auditory hallucinations,
Yeah.
then the visual ones. And
Now
I can't imagine.
this
how bad that
you're
stuff
seeing
is.
this,
So terrible.
and I believe that it's happening way more than it happened before.
it's being caught. It's being caught.
So is it? I'm wondering, is there like something else that's like,
we looking at these computers, yeah.
is there something else that's
Causing
causing
it?
this? Yeah. We didn't have
that's hard to
social
say.
media. We interacted with people face to face.
Like we're
It's really
doing
hard to
here.
say.
So like I don't know.
Well, it seems like nowadays everybody's worried about getting likes on Facebook and so if they don't get a certain amount of likes or this or that, they develop anxiety. They get anxious about this stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
their world is on a computer.
some of the things that are happening are people comparing their regular life to everybody's best moments that they're posting.
And that's the thing. You see the best moments.
And
Yeah.
that's the
But
depression kicking in.
I think that you can't have a completely bad outlook on things. I mean, because I think that before there was a lot of other stuff going on, where a lot of less compassionate stuff that happened. Like when I was a kid, it was like give you something to cry about, all sorts of stuff like that. Kids making fun of other kids, more bullying probably.
Now it's
I don't
24/7.
Now
it's
that built character back then. Getting bullied. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean,
it really did.
maybe it did, but my kid hasn't had to deal with bullying, and if there is any bullying, he's talking about it because everybody knows about it. I think there are some good things and some bad things. I don't think it's all just going downhill. I think that things are good. I think there were some really bad things before. I think there were probably, like you say, before there was probably more stuff that was undiagnosed.
Yeah.
And probably now, like you have there's the pedophile thing. I think there was more pedophiles before because they weren't being called out as much, and I think that's come a long way. I mean, and that
But it
causes
wasn't-
a lot of the trauma that ends up, rippling off into addictions and homelessness and prostitution and.
But I
you
think
know,
it's a lot easier for them to do what they want to do nowadays.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you look online with all the kids, when's the last time you had a good conversation with a 16-year-old? You know, maybe, you know.
15-year-old, I have a good
15-year-old
conversation
with
with
your
him all
son,
the time.
which is
He's
great.
not addicted to his phone, which is good.
Right.
Yes,
That's phenomenal.
that's huge.
That's not normal, though.
He's
Yeah.
one
Most
of the
of them
few.
are on the phones. And what's been we're finding is for the families that limit social media exposure to them, the anxiety levels aren't there. But for the ones that do whatever they want, the anxiety levels are
Through the roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even threatening to
Yeah.
take that away.
and
Oh
then-
yeah. Yeah.
Fucking forget
Yeah.
about it.
Right,
Well,
and then it's,
that's
I'm
the
going to
thing.
kill myself, and then you have to report that.
I
and then they're in the
If you
hospitals.
use the phone or something as a babysitter, it's terrible.
No,
Because
it's gonna end bad.
The real world is not going to give that dopamine dump like the phones do. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's
I mean, giving a kid a smartphone at what, like 7 years
Earlier.
old, like
4.
6, 4, like that's,
Yeah.
I've,
that's to me that's madness.
I've read
There's no
I've read
need.
stories or articles that say that the rapid changing of things on the screen
Yes.
is attributing to attention deficit.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of that.
And I see it. Like, I've seen kids go from somewhat normal to now they get a smartphone, and here 3-4 years later, kid's out of his mind.
wow.
from-
Yeah.
The next part that goes along with that, which leads into the addiction component, he's out of control. He's ADHD, Ritalin,
Yep.
Adderall,
Yeah.
Concerta.
Yep.
Bam, they're on a stimulant. Then they
Yeah.
grow up, and the likelihood of kids that have been on stimulants becoming heroin addicts is huge.
Really?
You know,
Wow.
they've got some studies out there, and there was a correlation that was done, and of course, it's been buried. You know,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
don't want people knowing the truth
Right.
about
Yeah.
that. But putting the kids on, they get the stimulant, that part of the brain gets stimulated, but the prefrontal cortex doesn't develop until
you're
about
25,
24, 25.
24.
So they've been getting hit with this, and then all of a sudden, that's not working anymore. You find that with your psych meds. Sometimes they're on them for a bit, and then all of a sudden, it's not working, and then what does work? You know, the stimulant, these kids, some of them are not ADHD. They're not being diagnosed properly.
Right,
They're
right.
just, you know, it's a behavioral issue where it's something else.
Well, listen, when you're telling a kid who's enjoyed his childhood up until the point where you tell him to sit down on a seat and listen to somebody who doesn't want to listen to when he's about stuff he doesn't want to listen to about, of course he's not going. He's going to be restless.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
what's the best way to help people with their behavior is look at the motivation. Where's the motivation for
And-
them?
And it's funny because everything in our society and in America and the world as a whole has changed over, say, the past 100 years, except how we teach. You're
Yeah.
stuck in a room.
Yeah.
You're sit in single file. Your desks. You're sitting behind. Like, why can't like that change?
Yeah.
Why can't kids like go outside and learn? Or you know what I mean?
They'll hurt themselves, and then somebody has to sue. You know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
It's true.
I don't. That baffles me. Like everything that we do, technology has changed everything, and I know that has changed. Like kids don't really even carry books anymore. They have an iPad,
Yeah. They have
and the book is on the iPad. The homework's on the iPad.
That has enabled my son to you know, he gets A's and he's
Yep.
into school and he loves it. Whereas in the beginning, before he got the iPad, he was the first one in his school to get it because it was a big meeting and it was all this, you know, it's potentially he has a learning disability, this and that. He's really smart. He's in the 97th percentile. But that iPad changed his whole school career. He gets A's now,
Yeah,
almost all A's.
but he probably gets to. Now he's not in that environment where he has to sit still. He has to be quiet. He can go home and do his work as he pleases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, you know, you're being forced to sit, and if heaven forbid you fidget with something, he's got a ADHD. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, no, I've been fucking in here for 4 hours and I'm a little restless right now. Can I go take a piss or something? You
Yeah.
know?
Don't take a piss.
I
We're
remember
gonna give
staring
you-
out the window, staring out the classroom window at certain points in like 2nd and 3rd grade because you're in that classroom for so long and you just like
Yeah.
So I'd just stare out the window, like, just get me out of here, like
Yeah, it's-
daydreaming, just
Yeah, that's
to get
why
away
we got to
from
give
there.
you drugs because
You know,
need
nowadays,
your
yeah, you
drugs.
got ADD. All right, let's hook you up with something. No, I just
Yeah.
don't want to be here.
It's like Alice in Wonderland, you know. You give us one pill makes you larger, and
I don't know.
And that's the other. I think that's the biggest. One of the biggest problems is now it's all about. Let's just medicate. Let's just
Yeah.
medicate. Oh, you
Teachers
got this.
They don't
Here,
wanna do
here's a pill
anything.
for that.
They don't.
You know, like let's just throw medication at these problems,
And-
and it doesn't do.
And it's not like all this stuff is new. This stuff has happened
Oh yeah.
throughout man's
Oh yeah.
since man's been around.
yeah, but the
Some a lot
medication-
more.
Since
but
medicine was invented.
right, and that's the thing. Like I'm willing to bet that there's something on God's green earth to take care of everything that goes on. And what happens is they find out what that is, then they synthesize it and make a medication.
Look at opium. Look at
You know?
I mean, weed. You can't really synthesize weed and make it much, but it comes from the ground.
Yeah.
You know, weed is a grown plant.
Yeah.
But opium's grown. You know, the poppy.
Yeah,
plant.
and look what happened with that once they started synthesizing.
Once they created shit out, you know, now you got heroin.
now you're killing everybody.
Yeah.
You know, now you can get friggin' a kilo for like $3,200. You know, and we were talking a little earlier about the whole medical marijuana thing. At first I had an opinion on it. Oh, if you do that, you're not sober. Blah 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 blah. I've seen it help lots and lots of people that are in recovery
I think
that are still
it's-
doing the
listen,
same thing. You know what I mean?
If you're taking Percocets for pain, if you're prescribed Percocets for pain, or you're prescribed weed for whatever, if you're prescribed it from a doctor, weed has medical uses.
Benefits, yeah.
The government doesn't want to admit it. The government doesn't like. I don't even think it's the government. I think it's big pharma. I think that these companies know that they're going to lose money if it's known that this thing actually works. People are gonna.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but here's what I think. I think in early sobriety, you need to find out who you are and check out what's going on with you. And after being a walk-in pharmacy for years, you're not going to be, oh yeah, well I'll choose this drug. And
Oh, no,
maybe
definitely
I'll feel
not.
good with that. Let's just find out who we are.
Right.
And you need time, at least 6 to 18 months to get this clip. But the
Yeah.
problem being is there aren't enough programs out there that are like, when I started at Turnabout, we were 12 months. You know,
Yeah,
there were
the
people that
term-
stayed there longer.
We said it earlier. Long-term treatment.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
no more long-term treatment around here. Is like 4 months.
Yeah.
That's long-term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
It's like-
not enough time to be able to come up with another diagnosis.
Right.
Because you got the alcoholism, the addiction, you got all that going on,
Mm-hmm.
and then this gets straightened out, and all of a sudden, guess what? There's a serotonin issue, there's a dopamine issue,
Right.
the depression's there, and no amount of meetings, prayer, meditation, prayer can work, but no amount of whatever you're doing is working anymore, and you can't get out of bed. At that point in time, then you need to go see somebody to maybe be put on an antidepressant.
Yes, and
you
I've
know?
said that to people that I've worked with, that I've sponsored. Hey, I think I might need medication. Listen, I'm not a fucking doctor. There's no
Right.
letters after my name.
Yeah.
If you feel you need that, by
Go
all
s- go
means.
see your
I can't
doctor.
tell you that, but don't walk into a doctor, see him for 12 minutes, and leave with a pill.
Yeah.
Go see someone for a couple months.
Yeah.
And let them get to know you and know who you are and how you know how this happens. It could just be something that happens briefly.
It could be just you have to walk through some feelings.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Could be. Yeah. Could be
That's-
something underlying that
And
you
I've
haven't dealt
I've
with.
told people that so many times. Listen, I'm not opposed to you being on medication like that. If you've heard that from someone else, fuck them. Like
If you need
some
medication,
people
you
need it.
Yeah, you need it. You need
100%. You know what I mean? So.
That's one
But
of
don't walk in. I see it all the time. You can walk in, like talk to a doctor, or not even talk to him. Do you have this? Yes. This. Okay, here, take this.
And
Yeah.
that's why you need to be dealing with psychiatrists or nurse practitioners with a psychiatry background.
Yeah.
Not your primary care should not be prescribing psychiatric medications, period.
Right. You can
You
walk
know?
in and tell them
Right.
the symptoms by
interesting.
Googling it 5 minutes before you go in there, and they say, like if you want Johnny's, yeah.
Oh, of course. You
Like
got
the first time-
nerve pain. That's
First time I ever heard of I think Neurontin was what was his name? Pat. He had diabetes. He ended up dying.
Oh, he and
Liabilities.
Yeah,
I remember he
him.
was going to get
The little
pump.
guy.
He was going to get the pump
Yeah, he,
implanted
he
in
and
him.
you know from
Yeah.
Randy, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were. I didn't even know anything about gabapentin. Like, that company must be so stoked because they've been around for 25 years,
Yep.
and now that's the most prescribed
Oh, it's
medication
ridiculous.
in the country.
And it
Ridiculous.
was just classified
Wow.
as a narcotic this year.
Good.
Yeah, it used
Wow.
to never
Should
be
be.
a narcotic. Yep, that's right.
But and that's another thing that kind of bothers me is, all right, you got a medication that works for this. Well, let's try it for this and see if it works. Okay, we have one person succeed, so we'll just use it for that too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get that. Like this across the board medication.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, that's
Money.
That gets into who knows.
Sometimes, one little point you made though
We
was
don't know about.
with the going to the doc. I know with our agency, you don't see the psychiatrist or the NP until you've seen your therapist, and at least for a couple of months. We've got a good probably
Psychologist.
8 to 12 weeks. You have to see
Yeah.
us, and then we'll make the referral for you at about a third or fourth visit, if we deem necessary. Because we're going to diagnose as to what's going on.
Right. That's
We'll
good.
put that in, and then they'll go see the nurse practitioner, and we talk about it. And they're not going to come in and they're not going to say, well, I need this, this, and this, because our guys will look at them like, yeah, no, this is what we're going to do. We'll help you out with this, but we're not going to do that. So
Yeah.
it's important for people that are, especially in recovering from alcoholism and drug addiction, that if they have other issues, to go to good places, not to use the old behaviors and work the system. It's
Right.
just too much of
Well,
that.
that's
And that's
what
a
we're
lot of
so
what
good at.
happens. Yeah.
Using
old
the
behaviors.
System.
Use the system.
Manipulating. And that's why people love it. Manipulate yourself up into all these drugs, and we'll make all the money on you.
Yes.
And that's another good thing about going through Turnabout. Getting rid of that.
That manipulation,
That
didn't fly.
Getting rid of all that
Oh,
Those
garbage.
29
And-
other dudes who were like,
We would be doing it, not even realizing that we were doing it.
Yeah.
Or like I remember staff splitting, like
yeah.
trying to get one staff against the other.
Yep.
Beware, I'm giving you a verbal pull-up for manipulation.
Yeah, so much stuff, man. And like, I remember getting there and not even knowing how to describe how I felt, and like we get that paper out of the fucking file cabinet by the phones with the faces on it.
Yep.
The faces
You know what I
have,
mean? It's something that
expressions, lots
like
of
a
different little
8-year-old would have, and
How are
it's
you
like
feeling right now?
that one.
I have that. I have one of those in my desk. Still.
Yeah,
expressions.
it's
Now they do
crazy.
it with emojis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right here, I can pop it up.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah, man.
things have, in not that long of a time, things have changed dramatically
Drastically, yeah.
as far
They're
as
gonna
treatment,
change a
as
lot
far
more.
as the medical world. Like, it's crazy.
Some areas for the better, but most not.
Right.
Most they're just trying to sit there and they're trying to get an answer that they don't want the answer to it. And what the answer is doing the work.
Yeah.
That's,
And
what the answer is.
that's the biggest part too of all this is no matter you can go through any program in the world that you want to, if you're not willing to put the work into it, minus any mental health things that might handicap you from doing that. But if you're not willing to do the work, you're not going to get it.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
You have to, we talked about it time and time again in Turnabout, that you have to put in the work. Half measures avail you nothing.
You have to,
you know?
you have to self-examination, divorce yourself from the old ways and the old coping mechanisms that are hiding you from who you really are. But I also believe that the other key for me, and and I think I'm not alone, is that you have to go ahead and shake hands with that inner child, that former self, that good part of you.
Yeah.
That was led astray and down this path, and you took in all these different coping mechanisms that were ineffective. But you have to, love yourself, and that's the only way to get over the trauma. That's the only way to get over trauma. Someone can help you figure that out. But if you're not willing to shake hands with your former self and give your former self a pass,
Right.
you know what I mean? You're a kid, or whatever. You're a person, and you have flaws, and that's okay. Love yourself for being human. You can't love someone else for being human when you can't love yourself for being human.
Right, but that's not like told to you. You
No.
know, I'm seeing a lot of stuff now where they're bringing mindfulness and meditation into like elementary school, which I think is awesome. You know, because
Being present.
these
that's good.
these kids are seeing all this stuff that, you know, how they think they're supposed to be, you know, because of influencers
Exactly.
or, you know,
Exactly.
and it's like,
Or-
I don't know, it's kind of like what people want them to be so that they consume.
Yeah.
Like, oh, these people like this brand, I'm gonna buy this brand.
who they
you
want
know.
them to be, or who
Right.
you know, what's my identity going to be? And I want to have a child psychiatrist on here. That would be great, or a psychologist, I should say. But or either. But anyway, it's when you're that age, when you're 13, which seems to be the magic number. When did you start using?
14.
There you go.
Yeah,
Your age?
13,
13,
14.
yeah,
13?
yeah.
13.
12, 13, yeah.
There we go. This is the magic age.
That's when I started everything.
And they call that some psychologists, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I've heard that they call that the second identity crisis. And some of the people say that you shouldn't even be in school at that age because you're so out there. You're trying so hard to be social. Your body's changing.
Yes.
It's the onset of puberty, and the
Puberty.
testosterone levels are like 10,000 times higher in us than in grown men.
Yeah.
All
And
that
it's
stuff and all those hormones, it's
so crazy.
It's a show.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like a baby rattlesnake. Don't know how much venom to release.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy, and like
That's the age where we all go, oh well, you know, I could be this, and when I do these, when I drink or do drugs, it makes me feel really good, and I can be funny, and I can be with them. It's a whole group.
yeah.
That I
How
can be
about
a
how
part
about
of.
telling kids that hey, this is gonna happen to you at this age? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That probably might help.
But like
Well,
you
there's
know,
a very
John,
good chance that it can happen to you. It might
John
not,
and
but
Steph-
there's...
John and Stephanie Green that have no first time.
No, first
They're
time,
going
yeah.
into the schools so that the kids don't use
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They had a son pick up at 15, and he was passed away by 19.
Yeah.
You know, so now that's their mission to get into the school. So if you're out there and you're in a school and you want something good for the kids, look up No First Time. You know, it's the great organization. They have someone come in and who has been that route. They have usually a police officer come in and then a professional.
Us as addicts, we're wandering around from that time trying to understand the world. So we go from being a kid and then numbing ourselves out and not being our full self and not being fully aware and not understanding really the world.
And
that
you
much.
create your own perceptions of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
And those are from experiences, and those are not necessarily good.
Right.
You know, because you'd be like, oh, well, we got drug dealers to deal with. We got to deal with this. Got to watch out for the cops. You don't do this, this, and this. And so then
Yeah.
you go in with that kind of a mentality, and you're toast. That
Right.
you have to change all of that stuff to get
Yeah.
back. and
I'm
it's
just
work.
glad to see that you know, mental health is becoming more on the forefront.
You know, one of the things that they're doing mental health wise, which is great, and specifically in Middlesex County, is that they're seeing the component, because a lot of times the courts, the probation officers are getting stuck dealing with mental health work. They've
Right.
got one court clinician at all the courts. That's it, just
Oh,
one
yeah.
person. So what they're doing is
For each court.
For each court, well,
Okay.
some don't have them, but for each
Okay.
court, there's one that's usually there.
Yeah.
I've been blessed over the years to be able to do a lot of work with the court systems, and they're starting to take them right in prison and saying, hey, this is what's going on here, and then they're following through from prison to the courts to treatment, where it was all
Yeah.
separated before. Now it's a flow. The prison right now, sometimes, you know, they're sitting there, oh, you're on methadone, you can just kick and suffer in jail. No, they're actually giving them their dose, they're
Yeah.
giving them Suboxone,
Huh.
and they're making it so it's not as cruel, and they're addressing a lot of those issues. It's a lot of work and a lot of communication.
Okay.
You know, I was at a workshop with a lot of people from the state and everything. I was invited to that, and it was incredible to see all the treatment providers, the police departments, the Middlesex people, the court people, all in one room, because that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and
yeah.
that's another big thing. They're like kind of clearing up the jails and the court system because they're like, all right, this person isn't a criminal; they're an addict.
Right.
So they need either mental health or help, or they need addiction treatment.
Well, I'm
So
not gonna lie. I
let's-
needed handcuffs.
Yeah, for me,
So, yeah,
for
some
me,
people do.
for me,
Some
it was
people do.
it was handcuffs and it was kicking in New
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm glad. You know, I'm glad that happened the
I
way
had
it did
Librium
for me.
over at Delta and Bridgie.
I didn't get anything.
No, I got
No.
nothing.
I didn't get nothing. I don't think
Librium.
I got anything at Bridgewater, or I know I didn't get anything at Plymouth. You know,
No, you must have got it in Delta and Bridgewater.
I don't think so.
Oh no, you were in the Wild Wild West.
Yes, I was inside the,
But they
the
still
old
give
colony.
you Librium. They give you Librium so you don't shake yourself to death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you don't die, so they're not liable.
Yeah.
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 And they give you so many. Remember that the French fry there? That's not nice. Kevin, remember the kid Kevin, the guy Kevin who was burnt over 90% of his body or something like that? He was
The French fry.
I'm sorry.
You're evil.
That's-
You're
that's-
evil. You're going.
Tom.
That's another. The French fry was a different guy
Going
over
to
in
hell.
California. But, no, he's a good guy, and he ended up getting burnt. He was sleeping bag drunk, and the fire he caught on fire, and survived.
He's a good
but,
guy.
It was
He's
an
a
older
French
gentleman,
fry.
wasn't he?
Yeah,
Okay, I remember.
he was in Bridgewater with me, and they had us both so libbed up we were like drooling,
Really, I don't
our
think I got
cornflakes
anything.
out of our mouths, and
I don't think I got anything.
Yeah, I got nothing. Tylenol, I think, was as good as it got for me.
Yeah, that's what I. Once I kicked and then I go up to H3, then all the tooth pain starts.
Oh
You know what
yeah,
I
I had
mean?
a
It's-
lot of tooth
I'm
pain to
pacing.
deal with.
I'm pacing the cell, ringing the buzzer. I need to go to the pharmacy. Yeah, meds are at 6.
Yeah.
And my roommate,
That sucks.
he's like, dude, just go to bed. It's like,
I can't.
no.
I can't.
Like, I was the type of person that when I was out there, it's like, okay, this tooth is killing me. I'm taking it out.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. I went. I was. I think I was on pass or something like that. I grabbed a pair of needle nose vice grips and I started pulling on my tooth. I wanted it out of my head
Yeah.
so bad, and then it swole up like this.
Gee, why? I wonder why.
I wonder why.
Sticking,
Yeah.
sticking a pair of vices
Dirty
in your
ass
mouth.
pair of vice grips
Oh.
in your mouth. Yeah.
Shit, I was shooting puddle water. I can handle some vice grips.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
another. That's another thing that's happening. Like once
Puddles?
once they legalized syringes and made them so that you could buy them at any pharmacy. So now everyone is shooting intravenously, and all that explosion. But now, a lot of people are doing meth, and they're shooting it.
Yeah.
It's
And-
because of
Oh
the
my
fentanyl.
God.
Because of the fentanyl.
And yeah,
Oh my
like I know
Lord.
people that were hardcore dope addicts,
That
and
stuff
they
is so
relapsed,
bad.
and they didn't want to go back to dope because they were afraid to die. So I'm fucked up. I'll just do meth.
Yeah.
they'll
But
just
and
destroy
then
themselves.
now the abscesses and the infections and
You look at the pictures where they show the mug shots from the
Yeah.
first
From the
one
beginning,
on
the
up.
mid, yeah.
That is so
The
scary.
progression
That
of
is so
meth. Oh,
evil.
it's ugly.
Yeah.
God.
Meth
ugly.
mouth. They get
but
the meth
it's
mouth and
like
everything.
that's even more prevalent than it ever
Oh,
was.
I'm so glad I never got my hands on that. 'Cause
But
I,
I mean-
would
I
have been
mean,
off and running.
I still think that alcohol is killing the most people.
It's the
people-
most
people-
legal, but
People think that it's the opiate epidemic, but alcoholism is still
alcohol
way
is
up there.
huge because A, it's legal,
I
yes.
don't know the stats and how. it
and
goes.
B, people drink, so much for so
acceptable.
many years. It's acceptable,
Yeah.
and you get cirrhosis and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
DUIs and people driving down the wrong side of the highways, crash. Like,
Yeah.
One of my best friends, I knew him since we were on the bus together in elementary, and he just died last year. He had 10 years sober at one point, and he was taking me to meetings after I was in Turnabout with
Yeah.
you, and that time in between, and him and his wife, and we had his wife on, and he ended up cheating on his wife, and then he relapsed, and then he just couldn't get right. He'd have 2 months, he'd have 1 month, he'd have 6 months, but
Yeah.
and then he was come back from another program. He was in a hotel, and he got drunk, and he wandered out, and he froze to death. He was outside of 7-Eleven, and people said that he was snoring when they went in, and then he wasn't breathing when he came out.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Well, if you remember, we had that one guy near the end of being a turnabout. We had a client that froze to death in a
Oh, really?
snowbank. I think his name was Frank,
oh,
if I remember.
what a way to
He was
go.
a nice guy. He was a
Horrible way to
nice
go.
guy. I remember that.
Yeah.
But they found him in a snowbank because he decided to drink. The alcohol is brutal still,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, because it's subtle. When you
Yeah.
take the alcohol and that affects everything. That goes in. That's the liver. That's the pancreas. You get pancreatitis. cirrhosis,
grossest for
alcoholic
the health.
paralysis.
Yeah.
And
So gross.
it takes a longer time to die from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem
It's
with
it's
alcohol.
poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're,
it's
you're
literally
slowly
poison.
poisoning yourself. Yeah.
Well, remember that guy who, and I don't remember his name. I'm sorry, but there was a guy who come in and he was alcoholic, straight alcohol, and then he went out. He got kicked out, or he left. Whatever happened, and never did heroin before. Overdosed on heroin. They said he was probably in a blackout, judging by his alcohol level in his blood. So, you're an alcoholic, but in a blackout, who knows what?
Yeah.
Then there was the other guy who came out of jail after doing a screamer, 30 years, who was homeless, alcoholic, woke up behind bars and didn't get out for 30 years. Remember that guy? I don't know who he ended up relapsing on a run up to New Hampshire or something like that.
He stole the VCR, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I remember certain little details of some people. Like, yep, that's
Yeah.
what they did.
But that's what can happen with alcohol too, because you're blacked out.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about not being yourself.
And what it mixes with. So if you're going to take alcohol and benzo,
Yeah. Case
Right
catcher.
Yeah.
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 Forget me nots.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember doing Klonopin. I only did it once. I had it in the aspirin bottle because the kid gave it to me, and I was like, I just want to do dope tonight, and I put it in the aspirin bottle, and we were going out for drinks, and I legitimately had a headache, and I shook it out, and there was the Klonopin. I popped that, and I was out of my mind. Like 3 beers in, I sat down at the wrong table, and
Yeah.
Every time I ever took a
With the
Klonopin,
whole
I got
family.
arrested.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Never failed. I ended up locked up,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and I always blacked out. I could never remember what I did.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I would always wake up.
Oh, yeah, and it's
Either-
funny. It's funny at first when you're with your friends and you're a kid. Remember what you did, and
No, I don't.
No.
And it's like
everybody laughs.
then after a
and,
few years, you're waking up like, fuck.
you're the clown.
Yeah. What did I do this time?
Well, they're called felonies waiting to happen for a reason.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
Yeah,
But kind of going back on to what Tom said too about the guy that relapsed and couldn't get right again. I think that's another part of treatment that we might forget about is people relapse and that guilt and that shame
Oh,
that they
yeah.
hold them that
Oh,
they
my
hold
word,
over
yeah.
instead of coming. You have so much time and then you relapse and now you feel like a failure and now you're embarrassed or
Yeah.
ashamed to come back and put your hand out. And,
I know
Right.
lots of people like that.
especially
know?
if you don't come back and put your hand up right away, and you're sitting there lying. Now you're lying to the people that you love.
Yeah.
You know?
Or
You
the
know.
people that have relapsed while they're still going to meetings,
Yeah,
faking the
that's
funk the whole
what I'm
entire
saying.
time.
I mean, that's what
And
I'm
then
saying.
you-
The people who were previously saving your life.
Yeah.
Now you got to lie to them.
Yeah. And then their covers get pulled and they're like
Yeah.
so embarrassed and ashamed. Like it.
And they don't return to meetings. a
Yeah.
lot of the
And
time.
I don't
Yeah.
care where you go. People say that they don't judge in AA. That's fucking bullshit.
Oh no, people judge.
People judge.
Absolutely, people judge.
You know, play the
and,
game
and I
place they
see
don't
it all the
judge.
Yeah.
time, and it gets. I mean, I've been guilty of it, 100%.
absolutely.
But like as time goes on, like I realize, like, who the fuck am I?
Exactly.
know,
Well, that's the thing. You have to look at and say, that there, but for the grace of God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're 100% perfect and you got no skeletons or anything in your closet, then you have no room to fucking
Yeah.
judge anybody, me included.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect by any stretch. I got no room to judge any person.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you're
I have no
definitely
idea what anybody has going on in
Yeah.
all right. I have
I'm
I
just
have no idea what anybody has going on in their life, and
That's right.
people
Yeah.
relapse. It happens. It sucks, but it happens. At the end of the day, years that you have is just a like I'm coming up with 15 years. That's just a number.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
If I ended up going out today and relapsing and coming back the next day, yeah, I have to change my sobriety date, but I don't lose all the experiences that I've gained over these past
Right,
15 years.
But I don't know how that would feel.
I don't know how it would feel either, and I would hope that I would come back and not be judged, and
Hopefully,
Yeah.
when you look at relapse, and a lot of the times you get people saying, "Oh, relapse is a part of recovery." It
No.
is-
no, it's
it
not.
isn't.
It's not.
Absolutely
is
not.
not.
No.
It happens, but it doesn't need to.
Doesn't need to.
And how does it not need to? You know, if you're doing 12-step recovery, what do? You ask for help. You go to meetings. You do what you're told.
Yes.
Help another
And I
alcoholic.
know you guys understand
Right.
that. It's
Yeah.
do what you're told to do with that. And
Yeah, it's
I-
becoming willing.
I look at that today. I mean, you know, what did I do on my anniversary? I chaired a meeting. You
Yeah.
know, I got my medallion today. I do that, and I've done it at the
Nice.
same place for the last 29 years. You know,
Wow.
I share my experience,
Yeah.
strength, and hope. What happened, what works. I'm not involved 24/7 there, but I am involved 24/7 with my program.
Yeah.
And I stick to that. And that's one of the ways, and they don't teach enough of the relapse prevention techniques and treatment anymore. They're like, oh, we've got relapse prevention, this. Well, what is relapse prevention?
Yeah.
To look at it. We don't pick up one drink,
Self-improvement
one
is
drug for
my-
one day.
Yeah.
That's how you don't relapse.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what.
Mentally,
But it's
Yeah.
it's a daily reprieve contingent on your spiritual condition, and if you're not growing, you're going.
And
And
if
it all,
they're
and
not
it all starts
spiritual-
with that foundation that you built.
Yes.
That foundation that you built upon that foundation.
Yeah.
If your foundation is crumbling, everything else crumbles
Yeah.
underneath it.
And that's the thing. Like the house could fall down,
Yeah.
you know,
But
but
if your foundation's solid, you can always
Right.
rebuild on it.
you know, it's that's why like it's taken a long time, but I've implemented a lot of different things as you know now. You know,
Yeah.
and I wish I didn't take so long because I would think that I would be further along in my life than it, but I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I
That's
know
right.
that now.
Exactly.
You know.
you
Yeah.
learn what you needed to
Yes,
learn.
exactly. And
right.
I know now that the universe will provide me the lesson as many times as I need.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you
you
know
get
what?
it.
You know what? Intellectually, the best thing that I can think about to keep me in a healthy state of mind is the power of that addiction that it had over me.
Oh.
How strong it was, how hard it was to put down,
Yep.
and there's no question about it. My last run was so vicious to me, not to anybody else. No, nobody else. It's
Doesn't
not like I
matter
was-
anybody else.
It's not like I
matters
was
to
doing
you.
a brick a day. You know what I mean?
No.
But to me, it was, I'm not going to be sick no matter what. And after I got arrested and was sober for a couple of days, that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Because, like, what was I willing to do? Well, my mind, I was willing to do anything. I was ready.
Right.
I was ready to take the next steps. You know what I mean? And whatever that was.
Yeah.
And that is not who I want to be.
Right. Right.
It's scary.
No.
But you can also take that and transfer it into your recovery.
That's
Oh, yeah.
for me. 15 years later, I still to this day remember how I felt the day that I made the phone call to go to Turnabout.
Mm.
I still remember those shitty feelings. You know, people talk about the built-in forgetter that we have.
Yeah.
Well, I've made it a point not to ever forget that.
Absolutely.
Because if I forget that, then you start to think about the good time, you know, the good times that you had,
Yes.
and you forget the shitty feelings, that the thing that brought you in here, the reason why I'm
Yep.
here. You know, it's not loss of monetary or anything of that nature. It's a loss of me and,
Yeah.
and myself. And
Becoming someone that you never thought you could be or
Exactly.
wanted to.
Even though the guy you called on that day, later on we saw him in the news when we were in the
yeah, yeah,
we were in the house because he robbed an
he
armored
just
car
decided to,
with an AK-47.
yeah, decided to do an armor car stick up. And,
Shout out to Charles Allen.
Wow.
but you know
And
what?
I know who that was.
Yeah. But you know what? Regardless of that, you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it weren't for him.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's right.
He afforded me the opportunity to save my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
The
and
guy
what-
that introduced me to
and what he-
AA, he's no longer with us. He's dead.
what he did with his life was his choice.
Mm.
Everybody has a choice.
And that's the
And
thing.
who knows
What you
he's
decide
doing
to
now.
do
He
is what
might
you
have-
decide to
We
do.
got the only thing that God doesn't have power over is our free will. We have a choice every day.
Yeah.
Every day my eyes open.
That's
You
right.
You have
know,
a choice.
I
That's
make
the
I make
greatest.
the choice.
Yep.
That's the greatest power
Yeah.
we have in this world is
Yep.
in between an event and then our reaction.
Hmm. And on that note,
And, well, before you end it, I
Yeah,
just want to
what do
say,
you-
just looking at the three of you guys, you know, it shows me the treatment does work.
Yeah,
Okay, because
yes.
you guys are
That's
still
true.
around. You know,
Yep.
you followed the
Yeah.
principles that you were taught, and you've continued to give away to other people.
Yep.
All three of you blowing my mind because I'm sitting here, and I remember when each and every one of you came in. I remember your blue hair. I was thinking about that tonight. That was a cool color on you, or purple. One of the two. You couldn't get out of you were scared of a shadow when you first came in, and you were like, when
Yeah.
you came in. I
Yeah.
remember that, and you guys have done phenomenal in your life. Keep doing the work.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
All right. So,
All about
LOLTerms.com.
Please subscribe.
Like, subscribe, share.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you very,
And if you
very
will,
much.
if anyone wants to come on and share, please let us know. Message us.